What's up, you guys? It's Stephanie Liu, and we are back here at Social Media Marketing World. And look at this guy. This guy is a BFD. He is a big
Nah.
freaking deal. No, stop
I'm just
that.
a guy.
No. Because listen, I was there at the keynote, and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
haven't really
yeah.
drank my Red Bull yet. And then
Yeah.
Mr. George B. Thomas comes up, and he's like, get on your feet.
Yeah,
He's like, we're going to get this party started. You are absolutely amazing. I just
you.
love your energy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I try to get on stage, and stage can mean in front of a video camera or on an actual stage.
Yes.
And really bring the fire, because it's about the people who are watching. Again, an audience, or on the other side of the camera, not about me. So
Yeah.
you got to serve them.
Exactly. You absolutely, you got to love this. So, George B. Thomas, you have had 25 years of marketing experience. You're the founder of Impulse Creative.
Not the founder, believe it or not, just an employee.
Oh.
The founder's Remington Begg, but I have ownership mentality, which
There
I
you
think
go.
is something that's kind of missing from some of the folks out there, potentially. Really taking anything that you can get your hands on and just run with it like it was your baby.
Yes.
Makes a difference in the way that you do things, especially, again, talking about video
Yeah.
and live video. And if you're going to create a show and be part of a company, like, it should just be your show.
How did you actually convince your company to do live video and embrace it?
Yeah, well, first of all, as you see, I'm a little bit dynamic. I'm very humble, but I'm a little bit dynamic. And so them knowing that we can do video and that it's going to be okay, that it's not going to be an ultimate failure, that we're going to be able to communicate, that was one thing. But also, we have a very forward-thinking agency where we know that we're in this digital space. We know that people want to interact with us. We know that they have questions. And while it's great to create one-off videos to answer those questions, it's even better to create live video where they can ask the questions in the
Yes.
moment and you can engage with them. Because really, it is all about access. People want access to you as a thought leader.
I love that, because Spencer was just sitting here a couple of hours too, and he was talking about the power of access to your influencers, to brands, and it's more than just the logos itself, but getting your questions answered.
Yes.
Right? Because
Yeah.
once you actually get your name recognized and they answer a question to a problem that you've been struggling with for so long,
Yep.
all of a sudden you get all of those happy brain chemicals and you're developing that rapport. And it just, if any other competitor tried to come up, you're like, no. That person took care of me.
Yeah, at the end of the day, and this is why live is so important right now, people want to talk about B2B or B2C, but really it's P2P, person to person. And live video enables you to have that person to person digital experience where they feel like they're part of what's happening
Yes.
with another human being in the moment, through Facebook or whatever live you're doing.
So what are your recommendations for how people can use live video other than like FAQs? What are some other creative things you could do?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that we do is we have a little bit of a startup inside of our agency. It's called Sprocket Talk. It's sprockettalk.com. And it is all about HubSpot education for people who use HubSpot, which is sales, marketing, and service platform. And we do lives inside of the membership area.
Nice.
So we've got what's called #Unpacked, where we literally sit there and unpack a tool for an episode. So it might be the email tool one week. It might be the forms tool the next week. It might be something super micro and nerdy like HubDB one week. But the members know that they're going to get access to A, content that nobody else gets in
Yeah.
the members area, B, access to myself and the other host of the show, and really be able to answer those questions, like you said, specific to their needs in that moment with that tool. And so it's just a real great way to add value to what is a membership area.
Yeah. And so you've been using Ecamm Live,
Oh, yeah.
obviously. What was
Yeah.
what was one of your favorite features about it?
So that's hard because you're saying one of my favorite
One,
features.
just one. And
Like,
then we can, we can geek out
yeah,
on it.
we can keep going on it. But I'll tell you the first thing that really, for me, was like, oh, I've got to use this. And that was the fact that I could have different scenes. But
You're like the
but-
third person to say that.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
But here's the thing, but not because of live video. So I really want to throw this down for a hot second. I use scenes when I'm actually creating a video that I'm just going to have end up on my computer, because what I have is an intro, I've got a camera angle for then me coming in and saying something. I've got a scene for my desktop, and then I've got, so I can flip back and forth between me, my desktop, an intro, and an outro. And so now what I can do is I can do a pre-recorded video with using scenes, and then I just throw that file in an editor, and I just slice out the dead spaces, smash it together, export it out, and send it on its way to YouTube or wherever I'm going to put it.
Yeah.
And so it dramatically increases or decreases the time that it takes to produce a video, because it's not like you shoot the intro and then you shoot this and then you slide in your intro and you're like, oh, where's my intro in that folder? Oh crap, I don't know. Like, it's all right there, and you just publish it. And
that's
that is
interesting.
magical.
So it's kind of so you're creating
Like
the
editing on
video
the
to
fly.
editing with Oh, that's so
You're
interesting.
editing on the fly with scenes.
That's
Yes.
so cool. And so when you're using scenes, like let's say when you are live streaming,
Yep.
and you do use scenes, are you just
Yep.
using the hotkeys, or are you using something like Stream Deck?
So I want to get Stream Deck because I'm super nerded out, but I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I need that thing. But I do use hotkeys, or I am still like, I'm an older guy, so I'm used to like clicking things too.
Clicking,
I,
you're all
I do,
click,
I
click,
do
click.
click. Yeah, I do click things too. But hotkeys are super dope. But
Yeah.
But scenes, and here's the thing though, what I really like about scenes is, and the other things that I would talk about would be like, I like how flexible you can be with the tool and the options, and how creative you can be. Like, the other thing I love is being able to produce a webinar that isn't your grandpappy's webinar.
Ooh.
Right? Like, your grandpappy did webinars and everybody thinks they suck now. Now you
Yeah.
can do webinars like a ninja using Ecamm Live, and it just makes more sense. It's more dynamic. There's more interaction. It's graphically pleasing.
Yes.
And it's, again, real-time, fast-paced, amazing.
Yeah. So when you're doing your webinars, are you like putting your slides in as a PDF, and then you have
Oh,
the
yeah.
picture-in-picture going on?
Yeah, I love picture-in-picture, side-by-side. I like the overlays. Again, flexibility, flexibility, flexibility.
Where do you design your overlays?
Oh, well, I design them in a program, but that doesn't mean it needs to be there, because you can do them in Ecamm Live, which is a great feature. But I'm an old-school Photoshop nerd,
Yeah.
and so I just like to go in there and play around anyway, and then kind of just slap them in there. But again, you don't have to do that, but you can do that. Did I mention that you can be really flexible in the way that you actually use the tool?
There's so many things you can do for. I mean, like
Yeah.
obviously we've been talking a lot about live video, but you could do it also for recording. So
Yep.
for those of you that are doing virtual summits, which is like a new hot thing,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like there's like a virtual summit every single month. But yeah, you do what George has been doing, where you have your intros, maybe like relevant example 1, and then you insert your content, and then example number 2,
Yeah.
and then boom, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I love the fact too, like, I mean, we could talk about features all day. The green screen feature.
Oh, do you
but
use it?
I do use it. I also love the zoom and pan. So, like, you could have the same camera but different scenes that look like 2 different shots.
Yeah.
Like, that's super dope, because so many people are like, oh, I wish I could have a close up and I wish I could have a far away, but I don't
Yeah.
have 2 cameras. Well, you don't need to have 2 cameras. You just need to have 2 scenes and actually get it the way you want it. And now all of a sudden it feels very dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it important to make your live video dynamic versus just one scene?
Oh, yeah, because we have the attention span of a gnat or a goldfish or whatever animal somebody wants to use. It might be the attention span of a peanut. I don't know. But, like, so if you're not moving every, like, 4 to 5, 6 seconds to them seeing something else, you're going to lose their attention. Think about when you watch TV. Actually, no. The next time you sit down to watch TV, I want you to start counting, and you're going to get 4 or 5 seconds, and you're going to see a camera angle switch.
Yes.
And when you're doing your live videos, that's what you should be thinking about, which is something that I'm actually talking about the Pappy's webinars. It was
Yeah.
a slide for like
Oh.
a minute and a half, right? But when you do it with Ecamm Live, you can be poppy, choppy,
Yes.
and just go with it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, cool. So we're going to take a quick break real quick. Katie is going to go ahead and let us know a little bit about the Leap into Live Streaming Bootcamp. It's going to be happening next month. That way, George and I could go ahead and take a quick sip, and then we'll be right back. so much for all the love. Anisha, it's so good to see you. And I wish that you were here at Social Media Marketing World because we're having a great time.
We are. This is a blast.
Yeah. What did you think of the keynote where they were talking about, Michael Stelzner was talking about the power of video?
Oh, man. Well, I'm a video nerd. Obviously, we're talking about Ecamm Live. I love creating video. I've created a bazillion HubSpot videos. My thing about video, though, too, is the fact that it's just about the stories that you tell inside the video. So, sure, create video, but make sure it has a purpose. Make sure that you have a plan. Make sure there's a strategy that you're thinking of before you go into it. I love the fact, though, that Michael leaned into these micro platforms to begin to tease out or train yourself. You know, like the fact of doing Facebook stories, Instagram stories, and maybe even TikTok. Like, that's where you can actually go and play and fail, and everybody's okay because it's more of a human area.
Yeah.
But then once you hone your craft, now you really start to create YouTube videos and more higher production stuff and really get it out there on the channels.
Because it's so funny. I feel like when you record yourself and you listen to the playback, you're like, does my voice really sound like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a couple things. When we teach people how to be good in front of the camera, there's a couple things that people inherently deal with. One is the voice thing. They're like, oh, that's not what I hear in my head. And we're like, well, don't worry about it because that's what we hear all day long. You're good to go. Like, keep on talking. Like, you can't change it now, right? But the other thing is people, the reason they hate themselves on video is because they're used to seeing themselves in a mirror. And so there's literally this psychological thing called the mirror effect. Where I'm about to geek out for a
we're gonna
second.
do this. We're gonna do this.
There's
Let's do
a
it.
psychological thing called the mirror effect, where you're so used to seeing the reverse side of you that when you see yourself on camera, that's why you hate it. So one of the things that I tell people is always watch your videos back 1, 2, 3, 5 times. Always watch them because then you start to get used to how other people have seen you for your entire life.
Yes.
And then you're not so freaked out about video because it becomes natural feeling again instead of that shock that you get.
And that's why I love like cameras like the ones that we're using right now where you have the flip out camera because you actually see yourself.
Yeah.
And then you could also take note of like, why do I do that weird like little twitch whenever you're like, what are these little things?
You gotta love the twitch.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe you don't love the twitch.
But you get used to it. You start to realize these unconscious nonverbal communication cues that you're giving.
Yeah.
And then you could be mindful of, am I sending the right signal of I'm a trustful person or am I coming off as fake? Because let's face it, confidence is contagious and so is lack of confidence. So which one do you want to give off?
Yeah, and let's dive into that real quick too, because if you ever think that you're putting out a vibe that is untrustworthy or that you're not being a good human being, then by all that is holy, do not do live video.
Do not.
And probably don't do video because the micro expressions that you're talking about are huge as far as human beings go. And we are all in the business of trust. I don't care if you sell washers, if you sell cars, if you sell memberships to a website or software. We are all in the business of trust. And that's what these videos should be doing for your company.
Yes. Yeah. I love video because I feel like it's the first step in disengaging the fear part of the brain because people really get to know who you are, what you stand for, how you communicate. And when you're answering questions in real time, and you answer it in different ways. Like someone might ask the same question, but because you're an expert, how to explain it a second way. That way the other person gets it without making them feel excluded, right?
Yeah. There's definitely two things there when you talk in that way that I think about. One is when you're doing the answering of the questions, always try to focus on how you can simplify the complex because it's the smart people that can simplify the complex that other people can understand it. If you're trying to sound smart, you're going to sound stupid. I'm just going to throw that out there. And so you really got to focus in on that. But also, it's okay. It's okay not to know the answer in the moment. Just have in your back pocket that you're going to do research because not all experts have all answers, but all experts can learn the answer in the future.
Exactly. And the other thing that I love about live video is that when you're interviewing people, amazing people like George, now you have a relationship and now you have resources in your relationships where if I don't know the answer, heck, I could ask George, I could ask Tim, I could ask Fanzo and still get the answer that I need to come back and engage with the audience, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's resources and relationships. Focus on simplicity. Anything else that you would like to tell viewers?
I think everybody just needs to realize that they're enough.
Ooh.
Like you have been made to be a special person. Your message needs to go out to the world, and anything that you've put in your way that you feel is a hurdle, eradicate it and just start creating content. Start showing the world how amazing you are, and wonderful things will start to happen.
And that is it.
Bam.
Boom.